So Ring Fit Adventure was almost a good exercise game. And I really mean almost because this is one of the first exercise games that actually made me exercise. Like, you actually have to run and squat to play the game, and I think that's really cool. Also, Ring Fit Adventure sold about 14 million copies, so Nintendo figured something out. But I can't help but notice that the game feels kinda boring. But real talk, raise your hand if you actually played Ring Fit Adventure in the last week. Personally, I haven't played Ring Fit Adventure in actual months, and I make these mods. And there's one huge problem with every exercise game that's ever made. The games that exercise controls are tied to are really boring and would be extra boring if they didn't have exercise controls to begin with. Now imagine if your favorite game had exercise controls built into them. For example, what if in Mario Kart you had to literally run to drive away from blue shells? Elden Ring would actually be a hard game if you had to run around to move and squat to heal. And what about taking a morning jog around Eorzea while playing Final Fantasy XIV? Well, I've actually done all of this, and I think this is the most fun I've had exercising in quite a while. And based on these views I've been getting recently, I think y'all will find this mod fun too. Today we'll be going over some software and hardware to play games by literally exercising. We have a free PC mod that you can download and one new piece of hardware that's actually in stock. The goal is to make sure these mods work on any game or console, and I'm excited for this first step. I'll also make sure to timestamp each mod in this video as well. So let's start off with Ringrunner MG's free PC version of the Ring Fit mod. The only downside for this mod is that it only works on PC games, but it's really cool how good the mod is for being free. Before setting up the program, you first need the following. First, you need the Ringcon and leg strap that comes with Ring Fit Adventure. Next, you need a Bluetooth device, which most PCs have. And finally, you need a PC that isn't running Windows 7. To find the driver, go to Ringrunner MG's GitHub, which I'll leave a link in the description below. First, download the latest version from the link on the GitHub page. Next, download the latest version of VGM Bus, which should also be found on the GitHub page too. Make sure to install VGM Bus first, and then you can unzip the Ringcon Driver package to any folder you want to. Next, you want to connect your Joy-Cons to your PC via the Bluetooth menu. To connect your Joy-Cons to your PC, click on the Add Bluetooth Device button and then the Bluetooth option. On each Joy-Con, press and hold the sync button until it starts lighting up. The sync button is the little small circular button in the middle of the Joy-Con. If you can't reach it, use like a pen or a pencil. Once the Joy-Cons start lighting up, you can add them to your PC as Joy-Con left and Joy-Con right. Once the Joy-Cons are synced to your PC, make sure to connect the right Joy-Con to your Ringcon. After everything is connected, open up the Ringcon Driver application in the folder that you unzipped it to earlier. Make sure to reread the instructions on GitHub if you want to customize your Ring Fit gameplay, but if you want a quick startup, just click these tick boxes. I personally use the options Ringcon Full RH and Run Unlocks Gyro to play my games by exercising. And using these options, you have to jog to unlock movement, and it's really fun. The program also uses the Ringcon Gyro controls, which means when you tilt the Ringcon left to right, you turn left to right in game. Ringrunner MG's program emulates an Xbox controller, so if you want to customize the inputs, you'll have to do it in the game's option screen. I wanted to see how good this mod was, so I tested it with Elden Ring on stream. And this could be an issue with my Ringcon, but the gyro felt way too sensitive for Elden Ring. So using the gyro to attack was a really bad idea for a game like Elden Ring. After it took some time to change some of the controls in the game setting, the mod worked just fine. The running portion of this mod worked perfectly, but I will say the gyro controls will take some time to get used to, and it's not my favorite part of the mod. Either way, shout out to Ringrunner MG for making this amazing mod. I think the only downside to this mod is that if you want to customize the controls of the mod, it's not possible. For example, I wanted to play Final Fantasy XIV with this mod, and it went really poorly because there wasn't much I could do with the mod to make it work with the game. On the bright side, the next tutorial will go over hardware that makes customization really easy. Originally, I wanted to talk about using the Titan 2 as that's what I've been using for a couple years now. However, it's always been out of stock, and whenever it is in stock, it's like $400, so I don't think it's worth it. On the bright side, we have new hardware that's $300 cheaper, and it seems to be in stock way more often. So in today's tutorial, we'll be using an input converter called the Cronus Zen. Although this piece of hardware costs about $100 to $120, it works on all consoles and on PC. The one weird thing about this setup is that it doesn't use the Joy-Cons correctly, but here's a clip of me literally playing Mario Kart 8 on an exercise bike with a script that I made in the Cronus Zen. Since the Nintendo Switch detects the Cronus Zen as a regular Pro controller, I can play any game online with my mods without any issues. One funny thing about the Cronus Zen is that there's a little issue that some of y'all might have noticed, but my Joy-Cons aren't in the right place. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but the Cronus Zen doesn't use the Ringcon at all, so if you don't have it, you'll be okay. So let's go over how to set up the hardware so we can play any game by literally exercising. All you need for this mod is to buy the Cronus Zen hardware. Once you get the hardware, make sure you head over to the Cronus Zen download page to grab the software that's used for it. You'll need this software so you can interact with the device and load up the mods into the hardware. Make sure to follow everything, and I mean everything, on the Cronus Zen manual. Setting up or updating the hardware is pretty straightforward, and the process is explained in detail on the manual. So I won't be explaining that process in this video, but if you need any help, there are plenty of YouTube videos that go over that. We're just going to go over how to use these mods on any game. Once your hardware is finally set up, it's time to configure it to be able to play games with the Ring Fit mod scripts. Next, on the Cronus Zen, plug in a USB from the prog port into your PC. For this example, we'll be playing Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch with the Ring Fit mod. This setup is literally the same for every other console, but the Switch specifically has an option that we need to turn on for this. Up next, make sure your Nintendo Switch is ready for third-party controllers by going into the system setting. Navigate to the controllers and sensor menu, then select the Pro Controller wire communication and set it to on. Once you're done with that, go to the Cronus Zen and connect the port on the back of the Cronus Zen into the Switch dock. I know this setup has a ton of wires, but hey, it's not $400 and it works, so I can't complain about it too much. Head back into the Zen Studio software and open up any of my .gpc scripts. You can find these scripts on my website or on my GitHub. For this example, we want to use my Mario Kart bike mod script. So in order to do that, we head into the compiler tab and just open up the script through there. Before we start anything on the mod, make sure to connect your Joy-Cons to the Cronus Zen. In order to do this, make sure to press and hold the P2 pairing button on your Cronus Zen. When the Cronus Zen starts flashing a color, connect your Joy-Cons via the Joy-Con sync button. When you hear your Joy-Cons rumble, that means it's been connected to the Cronus Zen. If you want to confirm that your Joy-Cons are connected, head over to the device menu on the Zen Studio software and you'll see them connected there. Now from here, just head over to the compiler tab at the top of the program and press build and run. If everything works, you'll see the device monitor screen pop up and you'll be good to go. And one thing to keep in mind is that the mod is just a script that you load onto the hardware to play the game. So that way we can just create new scripts that will adapt the Ring Fit Adventure playstyle to any game that we want. For example, here's me playing Elden Ring on the PS5 and I didn't have to mess with any of the controls in the game. It was a little weird to have the Ringcon Joy-Con in my leg strap, but it didn't affect the gameplay at all. And do you remember earlier when I had issues playing Final Fantasy XIV with the Ring Fit mod on PC? Well, with a few modifications to my script, I was able to play 14 by literally running without any issues. The script itself is still in its prototype phase, but it is possible to jog or bike around Eorzea if you want to. So there you have it. Those are the current methods that I know that allows people to play games with the Ring Fit Adventure mod. These tutorials won't be the complete solution to every problem, as most mods aren't. However, personally, I've definitely lost a ton of weight using these mods, and I feel way happier now that I'm exercising more often. And if I want to be really honest, I think literally running around Elden Ring is infinitely more fun than a boring treadmill exercise at the gym. If y'all have any ideas or improvements that you have for our scripts, let me know on Twitter. I'm excited to have more people play with these mods because that means I can get more data to improve these mods. Also, Nintendo, if you're watching, I am super down to collab with you. I would love to work with y'all to integrate some of your Ring Fit Adventure exercises into your other games. But until then, thank y'all for watching the video. Make sure to stay hydrated when using these mods and don't go way too ham with them.